Greetings, family. This is IyapoNgina, also known as the Road Black Girl. So, as promised earlier today, I am doing a Facebook Live, and I think it's really time appropriate. So, what prompted this Facebook Live was this morning. I went out on my walk at about 6 o'clock this morning, and the streets were very quiet, and people weren't walking, and I thought about just thought about a lot this morning, and that's what came to me actually. So the topic of discussion today is the dangers of touch deprivation. So here we are, essentially on house arrest, which is fine because I think collectively we need the downtime. The intervention of this virus provides the opportunity for us to sit still for a minute when we probably otherwise wouldn't have. And so in that sitting still, I feel like it's important for us to get the best from this opportunity. One of the things that I challenged myself, questioned of myself this morning is, am I going to come out on the other side of this crisis better, no different, or worse? And I will tell you, just being completely transparent, I have been, I think like a lot of people over this last week and a half since the shutdown in most major areas, I've just been I've still been working, but I've been buying a bottle of wine every other day. I've been eating like I shouldn't be. I've been lounging a lot, which is fine. Sometimes we need that. But today it just kind of hit me, and I think it might be because it's the new moon too. That energy is just like, get your ass up and do something progressive today because you've been bullshitting for about a week, right? So today, Spirit was just on me. I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning and Spirit would not let me fall back to sleep. Spirit was like, get your ass up and go move your blood. Go for a walk, inhale big, because you've been fucking up. And I'm being funny, but I'm being deadly serious. And so the question for me was, and I think it has to be for all of us, are we going to come out on the other side of this better than when we came in? Are we going to seize the opportunities that we need to seize to let go of shit that no longer serves us, to repair and restore relationships that we may have been letting fester in things that now we know are insignificant? Are we going to make a conscious effort to create plans for our lives, strategies for ourselves? Are we going to participate in a way where we're more organically connected? What is it that we have to be setting goals for ourselves in this period. Because I don't know when we'll ever get another opportunity to collectively sit our asses still and think and strategize and come up with solutions that might be viable, because in the quiet, Spirit is going to speak louder than we're accustomed to. Sometimes Spirit is going to speak so loud it's going to make us uncomfortable. Are we ready to hear that? Not only are we ready to hear it, but are we ready to act on inspired thought? See, this is just an intro, but it's important. Inspired thought, man. And I'm guilty of it. I'm so guilty of it. I'll get an idea that I know is timely, that I know is genius, that I know is brilliant. And then my self-consciousness, right? My awkwardness, my self-doubt will be like, nah, that ain't gonna work. And it is really a slap in the face of what Spirit tries to give us. So it's do you recognize when you are being given gifts by Spirit? Do you act on inspired thought? Inspired thought isn't just something that clicks on in your brain. It is the contribution of your ancestral DNA. Your ancestors coming through girl, listen. Especially when they wake you up out of a sleep for it. You get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're like, damn, that shit is genius. I should do that. And then when the sun comes up, you was like, oh, I was bugging. I was tripping. No, your ancestors are speaking to you, right? Get your ass up. We have an idea. You say you need blessings. You say you need money. Here, do this. Here, do that. And have you ever had an idea, right, that you knew was incredible? You like, damn, where did that come from? And then you didn't act on it, and not 2 months later, you read a news article, a headline about how somebody else came up with the exact same idea and actually moved on inspired thought, and that shit took off like wildfire. And you're like, damn, it's because you were disobedient to spirit, and spirit is really on us right now to listen, not only to listen, but to act on inspired thought. So when I got up this morning and went on my little 6 o'clock morning walk for the first time, and I can't even tell you how long, and Spirit was like, you need to address the fact that in our paranoia, in our fear, in our attempts at being cautious, we also have to be cautious about the fact that we are social creatures. We are primates. We are beings that need for our very health human contact, human and animal contact for that matter, right? It is not something it's a necessity. It's not frivolous. It is a necessity. And so all morning I have been reading study after study after study after study of the effects of touch deprivation, the long-term implications, health and otherwise, of touch deprivation. Even when I was in college, I'd read so many studies on touch deprivation's impact, especially on babies and toddlers. So that's what I want to talk to you about today, is about, even as we are going through this phase where we have to be very cautious and have to take, a lot of precautions as to not get sick, that it cannot be, we still have to find a way to be connected. We still have to find a way to have healthy contact with other human beings that we trust and that we feel like we can engage with in a way that's beneficial, mutually beneficial, even as we're taking these precautions. So I want to preface this discussion today. I want to try to keep it short, but I want to preface this conversation with a couple of articles in particular that I found that I thought were really important. And so I'm just going to read through those. So the title of the article, the first article, was "What Does It Mean to Be Touch Starved?" This was an article that was published on September 23rd, 2019 by, it's medically reviewed by Janet Brito, PhD, and written by Lauren Sharkey. So what is touch deprivation? Humans are wired to be touched. From birth until the day we die, our need for physical contact remains. Being touch-starved, also known as skin hunger or touch deprivation, occurs when a person experiences little to no touch from other living beings. Indeed, and then the subtitle, "Wait, is this a real thing?" Indeed. The condition seems to be more common in countries that are becoming increasingly touch-averse. For example, France was found to be one of the most, quote, touchy-feely places on earth of developed countries, while the United States appeared to be towards the bottom of the list. Whether this is due to a rise in technology use, a fear of touching being viewed as inappropriate, or simple cultural factors, no one is sure. But studies have found that missing out on regular human touch can have some serious and long-lasting effects. Does it only apply to sensual touch? Definitely not. Any and all positive touch is considered to be beneficial. Losing out on workplace handshakes, friendly hugs, or pats on the back can result in feelings of touch starvation. Of course, it does relate to sensual touching, such as holding, rubbing too. But scientists have found that a nerve ending called C-tactile afferents exist to recognize any form of gentle touch. In fact, according to a study in 2017, the ideal touching speed is between 3 and 5 centimeters per second. This releases oxytocin, also known as the love hormone. Get our weekly depression. Anyway, I was reading the ad, sorry. Why is touch important? Skin-to-skin contact is vital not only for mental and emotional health, but physical health as well. When you feel snowed under or pressured, the body releases the stress hormone cortisol. One of the biggest things touch can do is reduce such stress hormones, allowing the immune system to work the way that it should. Touch can also calm certain bodily functions, such as your heart rate and your blood pressure. It does so by stimulating pressure receptors that transport signals to the vagus nerve. I am going to do a whole Facebook Live on the vagus nerve. I talked about it last week when I talked about the 8 ways to stimulate the immune system, to boost the immune system. The vagus nerve is just one of the most beautiful anomalies of the human body. It is like of any organ, of any tissue, of any substance in the human body, the vagus nerve is my favorite. It is amazing beyond imagining. It's like when I tell you about it, I'll probably do it in a couple of days. When I tell you about it, it's going to read like a soap opera. It's so beautiful. Anyway, the vagus nerve. This nerve connects the brain to the rest of the body. It uses signals to slow the pace of the nervous system. The vagus nerve is responsible. This is an aside. The vagus nerve is also responsible. So we've heard about fight or flight, which is primarily stimulated by our adrenals. The vagus nerve is responsible for our rest and digest response, which is supposed to balance us back out after we have a stressful situation and fight or flight is stimulated. So that's part of its function. In early life, touch is thought to be crucial for building healthy relationships by stimulating pathways for oxytocin, the natural antidepressant serotonin, and the pleasure chemical dopamine. Plus, it tackles loneliness. Even gentle touch from a stranger has been shown to reduce feelings of social exclusion. How do you know if you're touch starved? So later on in this broadcast, I'm going to read to you a survey that you can answer for yourself to know if you're touch starved. I mean, you probably don't need a survey, but it's helpful. There's no definitive way to know, but in a nutshell, you may feel overwhelmingly lonely or deprived of affection. These symptoms may be combined with feelings of depression, anxiety, stress, low relationship satisfaction, difficulty sleeping, a tendency to avoid secure attachments. You may also subconsciously do things to stimulate touch. You may also subconsciously do things to simulate touch, such as taking long hot showers or baths, wrapping up in a blanket, or even holding a pet. If you don't particularly like being touched, can you still be touch starved? Some people closely link touch with trust. If they don't trust a person, they're unlikely to want that person to touch them. But that doesn't mean that they don't long for the benefits of a hug or a handshake. Not like touching is sometimes reported by people on the neurodiversive spectrum and those who identify as asexual. But it can also be a result of childhood experiences. In 2012, a study published in the Comprehensive Psychology found that people whose parents were regular huggers were more likely to hug people in adulthood. Failing to experience frequent positive touch as a child may affect the development of the vagus nerve and oxytocin system and damaging intimacy and social skills, although this isn't true for everyone. What can you do to help satiate this desire? Touch starvation doesn't have to last forever. Here are some simple ways to welcome more affection into your life right now. Try out a massage. Whether you ask a loved one or visit a professional, massages are a proven way to relax and enjoy the benefits of another person's touch. Spend some quality time with animals. Often all too happy to cuddle, pets are the ideal soothing mechanism if you don't have one. Let's see. Get your nails done. Check that out. Well, we can't even do that right now. Easily overlooked, a manicure or pedicure will give you the human contact you need and a new look to boot. Visit a hair salon. If you don't fancy a cut, book yourself a wash and blow dry for ultimate relaxation. And I'll mention something about that too. Learn to dance. Certain dances like the tango don't work without skin-to-skin contact. Not only will you put an end to your touch starvation, you'll also pick up a new rad skill. Whatever. Let's see. Go to a cuddle party. Yes, these are a real thing. And no, they are not as strange as they sound. If socializing while cuddling isn't for you, try enlisting the help of a professional cuddler instead. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I wanted to get from that article. And then okay, so here are a few tips. Sit close to your loved ones. Instead of spreading out on the couch, make an effort to cuddle up during your next Netflix sprees. Greet people with a handshake or a hug. Obviously, don't push the other person outside of their comfort zone, though. Hug people for at least 20 seconds. This is said to be the point at which humans release oxytocin. I know it sounded weird to me too, Linda. I don't necessarily know about cuddle parties. That's one I'd have to warm up to. It says, but hug people for at least 20 seconds when you embrace. It is said to be the point at which humans release oxytocin. If you're worried that a hug may not be reciprocated, ask people if they'd like to share a hug instead. Use touch whenever appropriate. Being open to touch will engage others to give it. In a romantic relationship, hold hands or cuddle. In platonic ones, reassure people with a touch on the arm or a pat on the back. Again, make sure other people are comfortable before going ahead. For loved ones, give them plenty of positive touch. This can range from gentle strokes to full-on cuddling a few times a day. Let's see. Avoid associating touch with negativity. Yes, oh my God, this is so important. Don't pinch or push or do anything that takes away feel-good vibes of physical contact. Let children be close to you as often as possible. Allowing your child to sit on your lap or gently massaging your baby may prompt them to behave the same way later in life. And there's some things I'm going to talk about more specifically regarding that a little later too. Okay, so that was really what I wanted to get from that. Then the next article, which is even more outrageously amazing, 7 signs that you might be suffering from touch deprivation. And just aside, feel free to tag people or bring people into this Facebook Live, because I'm telling you, over the next few weeks here in LA, we're told that we're going to be on lockdown, and actually they're doing the lockdown a lot more serious than they have over the last 2 weeks. Over the next 48 hours is going to be a strict lockdown. No public spaces, no public parks, no hiking, no nothing. And that's going to be until April 19th. So right now you might be okay, but in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, this is going to become more of an issue, especially if you live alone, or especially if you are not accustomed to giving regular affection in your relationships, whatever those are, with your children, with your spouses, with your partners, what have you. Touch deprivation, or skin hunger, as it is sometimes known, is a condition that arises when we have little or no physical contact with others. The condition can appear more prevalent in Western countries, as we tend to engage in friendly touch less often than in other parts of the world. The rise in the use of technology and mobile devices, as well as fears around harassment, are some of the reasons attributed to this growing problem. Yet touch is essential for our emotional, mental, and physical well-being. A clear example which shows how important touch is, I want you to pay attention because this is crazy. I mean, I've heard about the story, I think a lot of people have, but it's amazing. A clear example which shows how important touch is came from a highly controversial study or experiment conducted in the 1940s. Newborn infants were separated into two groups. One group was placed in a sterile facility and were provided with food and were bathed and changed as necessary, but weren't given any more physical touch than absolutely required for these tasks. Apart from that, there was no communication with the children, but the nature of the conditions in which they were being raised ensured that they never became ill. After 4 months, nearly half the infants in this sterile environment, let's see. After 4 months, nearly half the infants in this sterile environment had died, and the experiment was stopped. The babies were physically healthy, and there were no physiological causes for their death. This experiment revealed the vital importance of affection and touching in raising healthy children, and showed that without touch, children can die from lack of affection. Meanwhile, the second group of babies in the experiment had all their basic needs met and were also given affection, and as a result, no babies in that group died. So this study, which I talk about a lot, especially since I have grandchildren, exactly, Linda. Yeah, so this study is cited a lot because it's also the study that was responsible for the term failure to thrive in children. So these are some of the questions that arise when doctors are noticing that children aren't reaching certain physical benchmarks: weight gain, macular or mental maturation, certain early benchmarks for childhood development. And failure to thrive came specifically from this study. And so the question of touch, they talk in the first article I read to you a lot about how gentle touch, love stimulated touch, because these babies were touched. These babies were bathed. These babies were fed. These babies were changed, but they were not stimulated with love. They were not talked to. They were not touched with love. They weren't stroked, and half the babies died. And so even when I'm going to continue to read this article, but as a massage therapist, I've been a massage therapist for 12, going on 13 years. One of the things that we learn, there are tons of studies that talk about the effects, the benefits of massage for the aging population, the geriatric population, and also the horrifying side effects of touch deprivation in that same population. So, to continue, so how can you tell whether you're suffering? Okay, so below are 7 signs that you may be suffering from skin hunger. Aggressive behavior. The founder of the Touch Research Institute, which I mentioned last week during the 8 things that you could do to boost your immune system, Tiffany feels the woman is a genius, conducted a study which looked at French and American adolescents. The study showed that American adolescents spent less time touching and hugging their peers than their French counterparts, and instead displayed more self-touch and more aggressive verbal and physical behavior. Interestingly, violent behavior went down. Interestingly, when violent adolescents were provided with massage therapy, their empathy increased and their levels of violent behavior went down. While this may be attributed to a boost in serotonin levels, it still shows how powerful touch can be. Touch, and then the second thing that might be an indicator that you're suffering from touch deprivation is body image issues. Touch plays a role in the formation of a healthy body image. One study of women with anorexia and bulimia showed a link between body image issues and greater touch deprivation in their childhood as well as in their current life. In contrast, another impact of touch deprivation is overeating, which may be a way of trying to fill an inner void that has come about through a lack of affection. Number 3, high stress levels. When the touch receptors beneath our skin are stimulated, it can help reduce cortisol levels and blood pressure, which therefore reduces stress. Conversely, when we are experiencing stress and lack of touch, we may struggle to unwind. This is one of the many reasons why alternative holistic therapies such as cuddle therapy are growing in popularity across the world, as people seek to find ways to address their skin hunger and keep stress in check. And I'm just taking notes for myself because there's some things I want to come back to. Number 4, loneliness. We've written a blog post about how touch can be used to tackle loneliness, which you can read here. However, common signs that you may be experiencing loneliness as a result of touch deprivation can include prolonged hot showers and baths, the warmth of which could be acting as a substitute for the warmth of another person, wrapping up in blankets, clinging to pillows, or even our pets. Touch deprivation can actually create a self-reinforcing cycle where we feel alienated from others, therefore begin to shy away from social contact. This could therefore lead to, number 5, mental health issues such as depression. Depression, low mood, anxiety, being withdrawn can be signs of skin hunger. In addition, those who are touch deprived may be more likely to have alexithymia, which is a condition that inhibits people from expressing and interpreting their emotions. That's not to suggest that skin hunger causes this condition. Hey, Cindy, long time no see. Wow. Yet, when these individuals receive healing touch, their depression levels have been shown to, have been shown to go down. 6, sexual dysfunction. High levels of anxiousness may increase tension within the body, which can lead to sexual dysfunction. Number 7, fear of attachment and unsatisfying relationships. Individuals suffering from touch deprivation may feel fearful towards becoming attached and could be less likely to form secure attachments with other people. This could be down to the fact that these individuals are self-preoccupied, can suffer from excessive shyness, and are anxious about reaching out and becoming involved in long-term intimacy. So what can you do if you realize that you are suffering from touch deprivation? Holistic therapies, cuddling, blah, 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 whatever. We talked about that in the other one. And I think that, yeah, that's pretty much the end of that. So now I've read the 2 articles and I'm going to post them on my homepage as soon as I'm done with this live feed. But there are a couple of other things that I wanted to bring up in this live, because what I would like to do, what I've done in the past, in direct contact, was when I was living in Tampa, I used to do on Valentine's Day, I used to do couples massage retreats. So I would hire 2 or 3 massage therapists. And what we would do, this was in response to people having expressed frustration in session about wanting their partners to do like basic stuff for them. Like if they come home with a kink in their neck from driving or whatever, they say, babe, can you rub my shoulder or whatever? And their partner thinking that it was foreplay. Right. So men and women would express this frustration about wanting to be able to be helped by their partner without feeling obligated to reciprocate in sex, right? And so 2 of the things that I taught in these couples retreat was, one thing that I'd learned in massage therapy school was about the need to desexualize touch, and then the benefits that the partners could get from basic massage between their visits to their professional therapist or what have you. So those are a couple of things that I want to mention. I think I'll probably start with, so one of the studies that I'll refer to today um, show that there was an increase in just one decade. Now, and they attributed to this increase. So the increase was 16%, an increase of reported loneliness of 16% in 10 years. And there are a whole plethora of things that they cited as the contributing factors to this increase in experienced loneliness among Americans in the society. One being economic difficulties and constraints, or the increase in economic difficulties being the most cited, insecure body insecurities, a whole host of things. And then the other thing is in the United States, more people live alone than have ever in reported history. Since they've been taking these types of statistics, we've never lived more isolated. Then another study was cited saying that 1 in 4 people report that they don't have one person that they can talk to on a regular basis about important issues. Men are more likely to suffer from touch deprivation than women, and that is attributed to a number of reasons, but in particular, cultural mores and stigmas associated with men showing affection, especially towards other men, men showing affection, non-sexual affection towards other men in this society. An example I would like to use is my ex-husband. When he left the country, he moved to West Africa. And one of the first things that he told me was how uncomfortable it made him that the men were so affectionate there. That in this small place where he lived, the men, would walk down the street with their arm around each other like this, or the men would walk down the street and hold hands. The men were not fearful at all of showing affection towards non-sexual, partners, friends. He said one guy that he was living with, he had several roommates. He and this other dude had been best friends since they were little children. And so they always rough played and they held hands in public, and it was not, there were no social stigmas associated with that, and how it took him months and months and months to get comfortable where he wasn't jerking every time somebody tried to show him affection that way. And so, so it was telling that this research demonstrated that in America. And it also may explain a certain level of violent behavior, or what they call toxic masculinity that exists in this society. It may have its roots in a lifetime of touch deprivation. So men are more likely to suffer from touch deprivation than women. And then we talked a little bit about failure to thrive, which is something that's attributed to children, infants being unable to develop physically as a consequence of the absence of touch. That's why, there's such a huge push now to get women to engage not only in the necessities of raising children, bathing them and washing them and changing their diaper, but actually touching, baby massage, is because of this whole concept of failure to thrive, that if children are not regularly engaged through loving interaction, it can actually kill them. So now I want to talk a little bit. And so there are several articles I'm also going to post that are talking about how the United States and other developed countries are in the height of what they're calling a sexual recession, where young people, primarily teenagers and young adults between the ages of 18 and 34, are actively disengaging from sexual contact. They're talking about some of the lowest numbers in 2 generations of sexual interaction among young people. And one of the articles I already posted is extraordinary. It's very long. But if you take the time to read it, it's so worth it. It's such an extraordinary article. But so that's one of the things too, because in touch deprivation, sexual and intimate touch is one way, but there are a ton of other ways that we can be involved in resolving touch deprivation, which I'm convinced the majority of us suffer from, whether like mildly to clinically. So, one of the things that I want to talk to you about is desexualizing touch. So, I took this course, this is many years ago, in massage therapy school called Desexualizing Touch. And it was about, it really dealt with some of the issues that keep people from coming to get massage. Obviously, sexual abuse and childhood sexual trauma was one of the leading issues around why people felt uncomfortable getting massage or receiving massage or seeking out the real physical and medical benefits of massage or touch therapy of any kind. And as a massage therapist, how do you deal with someone who may has a history of childhood sexual trauma or sexual trauma in general in a way that makes them comfortable enough that they can receive the benefits of touch therapy? Also, being able to create clear boundaries in session so that you don't give off an air that can be misconstrued as sexual. And the other thing is this, is in this society, in America, even though we're supposed to be so sexually liberated and so sexually progressive, there's still so much sexual repression and sexual taboos and stigmas that exist in this country that can contribute to touch deprivation. The reason why is because in our minds, there are only maybe 3 reasons that you touch another human being in this society. That's to fight them, to have sex with them, or to cuddle them as children. Because even as children, once they're out of the so-called quote cute phase, we aren't as affectionate with our babies. Once they're teenagers, we're not combing their hair, we're not stroking them, we're not giving them hugs every 15, 20 minutes or squeezing on them or kissing them on the cheek, right? And so those are the only 3 main reasons. It's rare that you see even homegirls walk down the street like holding hands or like, oh, this is my homie, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got your arm around your homegirl or whatever. And so once we reach this certain phase, like young adolescence, our propensity to experience loving, gentle touch on a regular daily basis dramatically decreases, right? And part of the reason that is because sex has been so heavily sexualized in this society. And so we don't trust touch because we think there are ulterior motives behind touch, behind affection. So, and then the other thing that I mentioned is the fact that so many people in this country still deal with the long-term effects of childhood sexual trauma, which make it very difficult for them to disassociate sex with touch and touch with harm. So, so with all that being said, what can you do while you're on lockdown to make sure that you do not, if you're not already, that you do not fall into this place of touch deprivation, which has a whole plethora of chemical side effects, the decrease in dopamine and serotonin, the increase in serotonin levels, increase in feelings of depression and social disassociation. So what can you do? Well, what I wanted to do, which was what stimulated this talk, was I was like, maybe I should do like a Facebook Live demonstration, like I have 5 roommates. And it was, to be honest, part of the reason that I did this was like, I live in a house with 5 people, but I can tell you, I haven't put my hands on another person and vice versa since what's today, Tuesday, since a week from Sunday, right? And I was, like walking around here like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like, why am I in my feelings? Like, and I was like, well, maybe it's because, but I didn't move around a lot even before the shutdown. It wasn't like I was doing a whole lot before the shutdown. But like I said, I went out, Spirit kind of forced me out the house this morning at 6, and it was like, that's what it is. It's like, I might as well live here by myself. Like there's no judgment, of my roommates or anything like that. But still, we live in a house of 6 people, and I haven't had hands put on me in over a week. And you know, so I can see like the kind of like I was just experiencing it. Plus, my daughter just had a baby yesterday. I'm not home with my family. I couldn't squeeze my grandchild. You know what I mean? So it was a whole bunch of stuff. But, the whole question of the need for human contact is real, and we're going to experience it over the next few weeks of this madness that's happening out in the world. This self-imposed isolation, this government imposed house arrest, you know, is going to happen. How do we address it for ourselves? So there are a couple of things that you can do. There are a few things that you can do. One is, first, to like, if you don't live alone but you don't have regular like touch contact with the people that you live with, have a conversation that is centered in the benefits, the mutual benefits of being, even if you're just sitting, in a deliberate circle and saying, okay, we're going to hold hands for 5 minutes just because this is what we all need. You know what I'm saying? And make it more of like a ritual or like an intentional treatment, right? The other thing that you can do, which helps, is grounding. It doesn't substitute, it's not a substitute for human contact, but it is a way to ensure because listen, we're the earth. We're part of the earth. We're made of the earth, right? So if you live alone, for example, and there is no way in the environment that we're currently living in to go and seek out regular human contact. If you have the ability, if you have a yard, or if you have access to a little plot of grass somewhere, take your shoes off. If you're not too uncomfortable, lay down on the grass for a good 10 minutes and ground. That too can at least serve a purpose of keeping you mentally balanced and connected. See, it's the connectedness that we're absent. So it can keep you connected until you can get back out in the world and hug your homegirls or your homeboys or what have you. So that's one thing you can do. Now, I am not telling people to break laws or anything like that. However, I will say that if you know of somebody who, one of the things that I think has been a disservice during this process is the shutting down of massage spas, because I'm a licensed massage therapist. I know the kind of precautions that I had to take when I was working in the spa. When I was working in the spa, we had disinfected wipes. We had to change the sheets. We had disinfected sheets. We had to change the sheets between every client. We had to wipe down everything. The door, this is as a therapist, I was doing 6 sessions a day. We had to wipe down everything, the counters, the seats, the seat we sat on between every client. So it is a completely sterile environment, and people are going to, in my estimation, are going to need massage therapy now more than ever. They're going to be dealing not only with touch deprivation, but they're going to be dealing with the stress and anxiety and uncertainty of not working, not having a regular income that they've grown accustomed to. They're going to need the stress relief that comes from healers right now. And so to me, it's a huge flaw in this whole setup to shut down the ability for people to get the necessary therapy that they need from massage therapists and other, touch therapists. That's my personal opinion. So if you know a massage therapist, a touch therapist of any kind that you would feel comfortable having in your home, I say invite them over and just make sure that they're taking the necessary precautions, changing the sheets, wiping down everything with disinfectant wipes between sessions. But we're going to need that. So those are 2 main things. And then again, even if you want to make it a game or a ritual, and if you have children, tons and tons and tons of you have children at home, Do not let this be a situation where you end up disengaging instead of actively engaging, sending their kids to the room because they got a TV and video games and everything that they need in their room, and you don't see your babies for hours on end because they're doing classes on TV or whatever. Don't do that. Even braid your baby's hair. I know it seems small, but sit your child down between your legs, male or female, comb their hair, brush their hair, talk to them, right? Watch something you both want to watch while you're doing it. Be deliberate in your interaction with your children. The reason I say comb your baby's hair, that's a ritual in Black communities to sit down for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours and cornrow your baby's hair. But there are actually studies there are actually studies that support, and then from a traditional Chinese medicine aspect, you have, I think it's 256 acupuncture points on your scalp alone. 256, I believe it is, acupuncture points on your scalp. And there are studies that have shown that a 20-minute scalp massage releases as many endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, and feel-good hormones as a 1-hour full body massage. I hope y'all heard that. A 20-minute scalp massage is just as medically beneficial, physically beneficial as a 1-hour full body massage. So touch your baby's head. We're primates. What do primates spend 18 hours of the day doing? Literally 18 hours of the day. When you watch monkeys, apes, orangutans, what are they doing? They're socially grooming. They're picking bugs off each other. They're playing with each other's hair. The babies are swinging off the mama's arm. They're climbing on mama's head. This is how the primates understand their relationship to the group. There's a whole chemical reaction biochemical reaction that is happening among the group when they spend all that time grooming one another. And then there are also studies that have shown that when you remove one primate from the group suffers and the individual primate suffers. Drops in serotonin levels, drops in dopamine levels, drops in testosterone levels if the primate is a male. So when I say that we're social creatures, I mean that we understand who we are within the context of the group, right? And so touch is just one of the many ways that we affirm our place within the group. So it's vitally important. And like I said, the one thing that I really want to challenge people to be aware of is the necessity for touch in this period to be used as a mechanism of healing, as a mechanism of comfort. And that's not to say that touch cannot be sexual touch. I'm just saying that for the majority of us, what is needed is affirmation, is security in this moment, right? Is the security that touch brings in this moment, is to be deliberate in our method of touch, right? To actually put our hands on a person's shoulders, to actually put our hands in another person's hand, right? To put our hands on another person's head. There are a few hundred acupuncture points in the ears, to take a person's ears and just massage their ears. These things can make a world of difference in what is seemingly an uncertain period in human history, and definitely an unprecedented period in American history. So that's really all I wanted to say. If you have any questions, I'm going to post all the articles that are referenced on my timeline right now. And probably just in the comments below this feed, so that you can actually take the time to read them for yourselves. But I would say, please, if you're in a relationship, rub your partner's booty. You understand? Rub your partner's feet, right? Tickle your children till they pee on themselves. They get multiple benefits. They're laughing and they're being touched. If you have babies, massage your babies. I'm telling you, the wealth of studies that have been done on the long-term benefits, health benefits of infant massage are staggering. Staggering. It takes 10 to 15 minutes to massage a baby. Full body massage. Massage your baby. It's an investment in the future of this human being that is going to be either socially dysfunctional or socially brilliant. Massage your babies. Like, stop being selfish. Massage babies. Um, it's like my soapbox. I'm like, just squeeze the baby. Just squeeze the baby's arms. Just massage the baby. So anyway, that's really all I have for you guys. Hopefully it was helpful. So don't let touch deprivation be one of the cascades of things that have the potential to happen during this lockdown. You're at home all day, touch each other, love each other, talk to each other, play in each other's hair. That's a big one. Play in each other's hair. And if you, what I'll probably do is if I can get a volunteer in my house, I'll probably do like a 20-minute demonstration on basic massage strokes that you can do without being a therapist that can relieve pain and boost immunity for those in your household, partners or otherwise. Probably do that in a couple of days. Stay tuned. This is IyapoNgina, otherwise known as the Road Black Girl.